Thank you, Incorta, for the wonderful opportunity. Imagine if you were able to refresh 150 ETL workflows every 15 minutes and be able to report in seconds on top of a 400 million rows dataset. Hi, I'm Prabha Kuppusamy, Senior BI Developer at Comcast, and today I'm going to be talking about the implementation of near real-time reporting done at Comcast using Incorta. So as part of this presentation, I'm going to be covering our journey from OBI to Incorta, the implementation, Comcast schema design, the challenges that we have faced, and the solutions that we have implemented to overcome them, and the overall benefits of OBI over to Incorta. Start with Comcast Corporation, as you may all know, is a global media and technology company. We are focused in streaming, broadband, and aggregation with over 56 million customer relationships across the United States and Europe. Since 2014, our small team of 9 members have been supporting around 2,000 financial users with their reporting needs, which includes our team maintaining 3 OBI instances, 3 ETL slash DAC instances, and 3 data warehouse instances. We source about 90% of our data from Oracle EBS, and the remaining 10% from sources like Workday and Kronos via CSV files. In about 2018, we knew we needed to review the other enterprise BI tools in the market for 2 main reasons. One, our OBI footprint. All the components within the OBIA were all nearing end of life cycle. And also 2, though we have had little success with using OB features and functionality, like because of the main challenges like user interface and the reporting rendering time, like this tool was seldom used more for an extract and pivot purpose. And also the other disadvantages that we have seen with OB is like our overnight processing, like our data availability. Our overnight process used to take around 8 to 9 hours in order to bring day-1 data into the warehouse. And 2, our real-time reports used to take a little longer than its usual time around the business peak hours. And 3, with development, like we had to spend more time because of the involvement of multiple components like Informatica, DAG, data warehouse, OBI, RPD, and OBI at the front end. With Incorta, we saw a clean and fast user interface, which would not only allow us to move forward with our business by providing the users with their existing reports run much faster and better, but also allow them to slice and dice the data instead of just shifting through the details. So when we have decided to move from OBI over to Incorta, the main challenge we have had in front of us was to get a 15 minutes data refresh for our general ledger module in order to support our accounting users with their monthly soft close accounting activity. Now, what is soft close? Soft close that happens between 22nd to end of month at Comcast freezes the accounting transaction that hits the profit and loss accounts, thereby allowing these accounting users to reconcile and report their data for their department for that particular period. Now, around this particular window of 22nd to end of month, these set of accounting users will fire the OB real-time queries as and when needed to make their financial decisions. Now, this ability for them, the real-time feature in OB for sure demanded a near real-time reporting to be done at Incorta. So with OB's real-time report runtime threshold of 15 minutes, our business have agreed to have the data refreshed every 15 minutes. Now that sets a first requirement, have the data refreshed every 15 minutes. And the second thing is our general ledger reporting is made of 2 data sets. 1, all the journals from the general ledger tables, and 2, pull the account payables journals from the subledger accounting. But from the reporting standpoint, our users' requirement was to have these 2 merged into one operational view. So they will have the flexibility to run one report and pull all the journals irrespective of the journal sources. And that's a second requirement, which would support around 20 analytical reports for a data volume of 400 million rows, which is for like last 3 years. And the ability to report at a highly detailed level, and the next one, ability to report like slice and dice the data by month, year, and quarter by various GL attributes were not kind of feasible in OB due to the data volume. The fifth requirement At Comcast, we protect or secure our financial data at the business unit level, which requires for this particular requirement to also refresh the security table every 15 minutes along with the actual data refresh. The last one is to reduce the number of reports when we moved from OBI to Incorta in order to lower the maintenance efforts. And so with these 6 requirements, like these were the main 6 requirements with the major focus being our 15 minutes refresh. So when we have signed off these requirements from the user, like we have laid out a high level design that would look something like this. So for this particular implementation, Oracle EBS is going to be our only source. And we have decided to capture the data set for general ledger module in 2 different schemas, because like we have 2 different data frequencies for these 2 data sets. Like all the journals that comes in via dataset 1, which is a general ledger tables, is going to be refreshed every 15 minutes once. And the second data set, which is getting collected from the subledger accounting tables, which is nothing but our account payable journals, will get refreshed only on a conditional basis. So we have decided to set up a cron tab job polling of every 5 minutes for schema 1, which would poll every 5 minutes and trigger the schema every 15 minutes. Say if the schema has got done at like 16th minute, it will wait for next 4 minutes, and then like the poll will again trigger the schema. And for dataset 2, we have set up a conditional refresh polling, meaning this polling will every 5 minutes once hit the source database and will only trigger the schema only when it finds an incremental refresh data available at the Oracle source end. If not, that schedule will be skipped and it will keep on looking for an incremental data. So this is kind of ad hoc. As and when the data becomes available at the EBS end, please go ahead and trigger, else like keep polling. And then we have Incorta in the middle, where we have that one operational view, which would merge both the data sets and our users at the other end. So with this high level design, we have, in the next few slides, I'm going to be discussing about the schema design that we have done, the physical schema design that we have done, and the challenges that we have faced, and then the solutions we have implemented. So this is the final version of physical schema design for our general ledger model that we have at Comcast right now. And this is approximately the simplified form of around 150 ETL Informatica workflows, which now comprises of only like 10 base tables in its original form. These are like the blue ones are all the base tables in its original form. These are like Oracle EBS tables. We have not done any kind of transformation here. And 10 to 12 alias tables, and on the right hand side the yellowish ones or the flattened tables, the hierarchy tables, which are designed using Incorta analyzer tables. And then the green ones, the bottom green ones, are the MVs, the materialized views. These is the only place within the entire schema design where we have done like a minor, or I would say like 10% of transformation to have our data available for the reporting end. So this XLA bridge is one operational view that we discussed in the previous slide, which is kind of merging all the journals from these base tables, which is under EBSGL general ledger tables. And also it brings in the XLA, the account payables data from the XLA module. And this merges the information and keep it in one place for the reporting. To support like 20 analytical reports for this module. And the second table here is the materialized view, which is the security materialized view, which supports our security, like to secure our data at the business unit level. I will discuss about the dependent schema tables in the next slide. So as I have mentioned, this is like the final version of the schema that we have in place right now at Comcast. But before we reach this part, like we have had our schema in different layouts, different stages. We have run into like various issues, and then we had to take different steps in order to overcome those challenges and then like meet our 15 minutes goal, because like our ultimate goal is to have the entire model refreshed under 15 minutes. So the first challenge that we have faced, moving the infrequently updated data set to a separate schema. Yes. So here, account payables, like since this operational view is merging the data from dataset 2 and dataset 1, we know that at Comcast and dataset 2 will be ad hoc and it will not be more than 6 times a day, which is a clear indication that it is it is not that frequently updated as compared to our main requirement of every 15 minutes. So we have made sure that none of the AP tables, none of the infrequently updated tables stays within our 15 minutes reporting schema refresh. And second thing is moving huge table joins into the materialized view itself. We have seen Spark to perform better with heavy tables and heavy joins than Incorta. So we have made sure that we are moving all these heavy joins and tables into the materialized view for Spark to process them and dump them into the tables for Incorta to just access it. And using Incorta analyzer tables wherever applicable, this is like we have, at least as a developer, I have realized that this is the most effective way to effectively utilize the Spark resources. And like with the latest version in Incorta 5.1.5, the Incorta analyzer table data is also getting stored in Parquet tables, which is a nice feature. So then like you can start referencing them in all your reporting from the front end. And the second thing is schema refresh interruption. So our main goal for this near real-time reporting is to have the entire general ledger module refreshed within that 15 minutes window. So like before reaching this final stage, we have had our schema in different parts, as I've already mentioned. So one of the part was we have had all these flattened tables, which supports our hierarchy information under a different schema called fin common, or like I would say for like the general purpose, I would call it as a dependent schema or a parent schema. So we were not having these tables within the reporting schema. We were having all these tables within another schema, parent schema. And as part of this every 15 minutes refresh, the goal was to refresh the reporting schema, which would take anywhere from 13 to 14 minutes, and then go on to refresh the parent schema, which would take from 4 minutes to 5 minutes, which was adding up to like close to 17 minutes, which was not helping us. And the other issue that we have faced here is since we have had, this is Comcast standard hierarchy information, which means like it should be used in other modules like account payables, purchase orders, recs, capex, all the other modules, which means it also had links or joins to all the other modules in addition to GL reporting schema. So these two, like one, we were not able to meet 15 minutes mark, and two, because of its links to all the other schemas, every 15 minutes refresh was kind of causing user interruption from the front end. So we decided to duplicate those flattened tables into the reporting schema itself and have the entire schema, like we cut down the links to the other schemas by doing this, and also we were able to achieve the 15 minutes mark. And third thing is transformation phase tuning. So as I have mentioned, this one operational view up here, like which merges the data from GL as well as from the XLA side, meaning like GL dataset 1 will pull all the journals, and also the same journal will be available from dataset 2. So the moment the same journal becomes available from dataset 2, we have a strategy within this materialized view, which would mark the same journal from dataset 1 as soft deleted. Otherwise, it would become duplicates. So we would hold the journal from dataset 1 until the same becomes available from dataset 2. The moment it becomes available, we'll make it as soft deleted. So over a period of time, these soft deleted records kept increasing, and which was causing a primary key indexing issue, which was having a direct impact to our runtime. So we decided to go for a full load only on that particular table in order to clean up that soft deleted records and make our MV run better. And the second thing over here is, as a developer, I have felt that using max of like using greater than question mark performs much better than like using max of refresh time. Using max of refresh time is a developer's way to like enforce Incorta to just scan through the entire row set and then find the last refresh time. Whereas like using greater than question mark would just fetch it from the file and then append it for the incremental load. Fourth one, extraction tuning. So we all know that Incorta only issues like select star and specific tables to the Oracle database or any source database for that matter. But around like peak business hours, when there is high contention at the database end, we have seen like our extraction time has like gone up by 2 times or by 3 times. So we know that we needed some kind of strategy in order to optimize the queries that are running at the Oracle end. So we came up with an idea of adding parallel hens, adding appropriate index-based column filters, and adding appropriate source data filters in order to make the extraction queries run better at the source database end. And this is the materialized view tuning. And with this materialized view, like we have always had to play with the Spark configurations with this materialized view from the beginning. Like it was not like a one go where like I would say, hey, you know what, like the executive course is always going to stick with 15 and the driver course are always going to stick with 10, something like that. So as and when we had to like see better performance with this MV, we have always had to play with the Spark configuration for that particular MV. So the best technique that has given us good performance is the shuffle and repartition technique, which is kind of instructing the Spark to blow up, to explore the number of partitions, process the data, transform the data, and then repartition, remerge, and hand it over to Incorta, which had shown a very good positive impact from the runtime standpoint. And also we have tried to utilize like the right incremental data filter, and also we have made sure to apply right data filters in order for Spark to spend less time in scanning through the huge tables. And the last one in the series is post-load tuning. Post-load tuning, like the first issue that we have faced with post-load tuning is when we realized that the cross-schema formulas that we have returned within the reporting schema tends to take a lot of time. And when we found that, we tried to simplify them by moving the cross-schema formulas into the parent schema itself. So it won't get refreshed every 15 minutes once, but it would get refreshed with the time the parent schema gets refreshed. And then the GL reporting schema will only be referencing that. And also we have made sure to reduce the number of alias tables, which were referenced in the formula calculation, and also removing all the unnecessary joins. So these were like the 6 major pain points that we have had with the implementation, and then the solutions that we have implemented to have our GL schema refresh every 15 minutes. Now at Comcast, after doing all these changes, we are now able to meet that 15 minutes. And the next few slides are going to be like, I'll be covering the overall benefits that we have seen from OBI over to Incorta. So from speed of development standpoint, OBI, in order for us to implement a complex task, being a developer, like I used to take like 8.5 days. And again, the reason is because of the involvement of multiple components. I have to spend like 5 days in Informatica, 1 day in DAG, ETL, shell scripting, and 0.5 days in the data warehouse changes, and 2 days in OBI, RPD, and the front end. Whereas in Incorta, we are down to 1 day. Like I had to spend some time in physical schema, business schema, and then like the reporting, that's it. So which has cut down our time from 8.5 to 1 day, which is like we are giving back 7.5 days. I'm saving my 7.5 days, and I can utilize it to develop other things. And from data availability standpoint, we have gone from mostly updating once a day or real time in OB instance over to like every 15 minutes in case of a near real time implementation, to max of 4 times a day, or like we have scheduled it based on the data availability of that particular module from the source end. And from data load win standpoint, the huge load win that we have noticed is with fixed assert module. Back in OB, like it used to, the full load once a month used to take like 17 hours, which means we used to spend like 8 hours in order to bring the data from Oracle EBS into the staging layer. And we have to let our overnight process run, because like we cannot interrupt the overnight process. And then the next following day, our SIL would run, which would take the data that was stored in the staging layer into the reporting. So around like all around, like it would take around 17 hours, which would disrupt our business, like our fixed assert users, because like they'll have to wait at least 24 hours for them to see the module closed or accounted data for fixed asset modules in OBI reporting. Whereas in Incorta, our full load now is taking an hour and 20 minutes. And also we have the flexibility of running the fixed asset modules multiple times during the day. And project management is down from 8 hours to 30 minutes, and also the same flexibility of once a day to 4 times a day in Incorta. Employee expenses is down from 6 hours to 30 minutes. Payroll, another bi-weekly business critical load, is down from 3 hours to 30 minutes. The last aspect of benefits is the report rendering time, which this is my personal most favorite aspect from Incorta. And for the implementation that we have done, we have just discussed GL. So GL line details, payables, the data is getting refreshed every 15 minutes. And the report in OB used to take an average of 22 minutes for 2K rows, whereas in Incorta, it is down to seconds in order to render 1 month worth of data, which is around 80 million. Plus also it helps us to do like the aggregate preview. Like we can report it like year level, month level, quarter level. It's not that line level. And GL line details average of 1 minute for 7K rows is now down to seconds for 1 month, which is around like 80 million plus aggregates. GL journal source by category, this report like used to kind of time out because like this is an aggregated data at journal source by category. So which is in Incorta, which is now approximately, it takes a minute to gather the same 80 million rows plus aggregates. Revenue YTD. So this report in OB like used to work for a couple of months in the year start, and then as and when the data gets accumulated more, it would stop working. Whereas in Incorta, it is now getting done under less than 2 minutes in order to process like 144 million rows. And CapEx transaction details. This is one of our most used report from OB world and also in Incorta world. It used to take an average of 17 minutes in order to fetch 10K rows, whereas in Incorta, it is getting done under a minute. The other major benefit that we have seen from reporting end is creating reconciliation dashboard for our users. So we have created revenue to GL, inventory to GL reconciliation dashboards. What it does is, like, revenue is an interface for the for the Oracle EBS. So users would always want to see, hey, what I have interfaced versus what has been posted in the general ledger module. So these kind of reporting were not possible in OBI due to the data volume, because like in revenue is so huge as well as the GL. But in Incorta, we have created one dashboard and we have created insights, wherein like on one side we'll have all the revenue interface data for that particular period, and then the other side we'll have whatever we interfaced via revenue and got posted into GL on the other side. So users will be able to compare side by side without having to download and do all the VLOOKUP functions that they were doing previously. And the last thing here is, like, we, over the short survey that was taken at Comcast, majority of our users feel that they'll be able to save 2 to 5 hours monthly, and the next largest group feels that they'll be able to save 5 to 8 hours monthly. So yes, now with all these changes that we have done, like we are now able to achieve our 15 minutes refresh with general ledger module, and also all the other modules are getting refreshed as frequently as needed. Thank you.